interested in the horror, the graphic
Right.
horror. I love anything that's like a great scare, like if you can get a great scare out of somebody, and that can be just that's surprise. So that's an element that is in a lot of films.
Today we're talking with Linda Palma, a Halloween fan and writer-director. She's working on some docuseries, she's done some Halloween movies, so for any of our fans of the season, of horrors, of haunts, this is an episode you won't want to miss. Enjoy. So you had a podcast too for a while, right?
Yeah, Bat Chat.
Bat Chat, that's right, on the topic of Halloween.
Exactly. Just a couple of bats chatting.
That's great. Now remind me again, you're not in California anymore. You've moved, right?
No, we actually moved to North Carolina. Now, we're not in on the western side. That's just horrific what's
Yeah.
happening over there.
I was worried about it because I want to say you guys moved to Wilmington or something. Is that right?
Yeah, just north of Wilmington. So definitely not in the path of this particular hurricane, but there's a lot of hurricanes that come through. We just had an unnamed storm
Oh,
that flooded an area about 45 minutes here. It's kind of necessary evil.
yeah. It's you get the green, and then you get the storms that come with it.
Yeah, yeah. But it is gorgeous and it's beautiful living, on the water side.
Yeah. Did you grow up on the East Coast? Did you grow up over here in California?
No, I mean, I've spent a lot of time on the East Coast, but I'd never lived here. I actually grew up in Washington State.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's fairly similar in the sense that it's very green and country-like, but
Yeah.
it's also by the ocean, which is similar to our house where we used to live. So
Yep. Yep. Can't get away
are
from
you
it.
still in California?
Yeah. So I'm in Culver City right now, and Madison is based in Utah. We went to undergrad
Oh,
together
okay.
at BYU.
Yeah. I'm in Salt Lake City.
Nice. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thanks again for coming on. I mean, what was your experience with entertainment like growing up? Because I know you have been working in the industry for a little while, but did you kind of start at a young age, or is this something you kind of happened upon?
No, I actually went to school to become a journalist, and
Okay.
then I went I was in college for that, and I saw myself in front of the camera, and I decided quickly I'd rather be behind the camera than in front of the camera. And so I started just like, studying different crew positions, but I was also writing. Because I was interested in, writing stories.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, found more of an interest in screenwriting and just started doing that because I was working full time while I was going to school. And so I was just, practicing my craft basically.
Yeah.
And I had written, I don't know, I want to say maybe 3 to 5 scripts when I decided that it would probably be better for me to try and make my own stuff
Hmm.
rather than trying to sell it. Just a quick background, I'd been in sales for a super long time. It was really easy for me to get people on the phone. And so I was fairly successful at pitching,
Yeah.
and calling people up and getting them to accept my script. But I didn't have the relationships to go past that. And this is really a relationship industry. If people are going to do everything that needs to be done to produce a film, if there's one script that they love that they don't know the person, and there's another script that they do know the person and they like that just as much, they're going to do that script because
Yeah.
they just have a comfort level. And so I felt like I just needed to do it myself. And I didn't see any reason why I couldn't do it. So I had taken some production courses and things like that. And I was just convinced that I had all the skills needed to make a film.
And what was that first film? Because I know we looked at IMDb a little bit. At least I did.
So actually, there is another Linda Palmer
Okay.
that part of her IMDb is mixed with mine. And it's
Okay.
Oh, tragic.
so the first thing I did, I think that's on IMDb is probably the wedding video. I think there might be a documentary called Diabetes and Me
Yeah.
that is a long-term project that I'm doing with a very good friend. And it's just, it's documentaries take forever. It's
Yeah.
just she has so much footage to go through. And anyway, but the first produced thing I believe was, oh no, Look at Me. Look at Me was the first one. And then I don't even, and then that was a feature. After that, we did the wedding video, which was a feature. And then I did another feature Halloween party with my husband. And then I did my first short.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
I went backwards a little bit.
Well,
But
yeah,
real quick, funny story about Linda Palmer.
yeah.
So she actually taught screenwriting at UCLA, and I took her screenwriting course. And so that's how I ever, but a ton of people, they contact me and they're like, oh, Linda, and I'm like, there's a little bit of an age difference, but
Yeah. The other Linda Palmer. That is too good.
she's a great lady. She's a great teacher, and a lot of people really like her. So I don't mind, but
Yeah.
it's funny. I don't know why IMDb had a problem mixing them. It was really weird.
That's so funny. Okay, so now we know two Linda Palmers on the same IMDb, not just that you were writing very young. Well, yeah, talk to us about
Yeah,
Halloween
exactly.
Party.
When I was 2. So Halloween Party was based on some Halloween parties that we had. And, it was really interesting because my husband and I at the time really I wanted to do a film that was all shot in one location. And I really wanted to direct improv. And so we didn't even have a full script. We had like maybe a 50-page script. And I brought in a friend who's a writer, and she added another 20 pages to it. So we start with a 70-page script. But really, my goal with the actors was to let them use that as a roadmap to get to where they need to be at the end of the movie. And there was a lot of experimental things going on in it. We shot for 10 nights straight, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then we took 3 months off and edited. And because we always knew we were going to have to like potentially fix some things because storylines might not work out when you're doing improv.
Yeah.
And we came back and we always planned on coming back and doing 3 more days. So we did that after 3 months, and we kind of had an idea of, what we needed to fill in with the story. We still didn't have enough material. So we actually filmed one of our Halloween parties, and we invited our whole cast to come, in their costume. And so many of them did. And there were a couple of scenes that we wanted to get that were, and this is all from the point of view of one of the characters, Cecil B. DeMille, which is black and white footage. So anytime you see black and white footage in the film, that's from this one character that's there, Cecil B. DeMille. And so that's what we shot at our party. And we actually brought one of the actors or actresses' husbands had the same camera we were using. And so we asked him if he wanted to shoot, and he was like a second camera. So he loved it. He had a great time. So it didn't take away from like any of us to do it, but yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It's not your normal narrative story, but honestly, at the time, we had a whole different way of marketing it. I don't know if you know, but we got married on Halloween, my husband and I.
Oh, wow. Halloween love goes
We're
deep.
totally Halloween freaks, obviously. We made a movie about our parties, but I was a corpse bride. He was a corpse groom.
That's awesome.
We have an
That's
obsession.
great. Here's my question. We've had on a few different horror directors on the podcast. How do does the genre pick you, or do you pick the genre? Like where does the love of Halloween come from? Like, because it feels like it's more than just skin deep, like it's in your bones.
One of the first films I ever optioned to produce was a horror film. There were two. One was called Last Call at Murray's, which you could tell from my IMDb, I did make that film eventually. And the other was called October 30th. Obviously, I liked it for obvious reasons. But anyways, that story is a great story about the night that Orson Welles was doing the radio address, and it was October 30th, 1938 or whatever, and they were doing the radio address pretending that the world had been attacked. And so these three guys are out of town, they're they're not in contact with anyone, and they hear it and they think it's real. So it's about how they deal with that, and they don't deal with it. But anyway, so it is a horror film, and it has all the elements of it. And for many, many years, I was attached to it. Eventually, I gave up the option, and another director, Michael Urenko, ended up taking it on, and he's like worked on the script with Pat Hulzinski, who's the writer. And they've been working on it for a while, and they brought me on board as a production designer. So it's still a passion. Like I would love, like that's like one of my first films I wanted to produce and I'd love to see done. And I think that it would be timeless. Anyone would watch it at any time because it deals with a historical event. And actually, there's other things in it that are alluded to that are historical. So it is, I think it's timeless. And obviously, it's a holiday film. People would watch it every Halloween, which is one of the reasons that we did our film Halloween Party. We always thought that it could become a cult classic, like the, Rocky Horror Picture Show or whatever. And one of the things that we wanted to do with it was we wanted to open it up in theaters and sort of create that buzz around it that you can come and see it in costume. So you have something else to do with your Halloween costume. And unfortunately, the year that we released it is the year that that theater in Denver was shot up by the guy that was dressed up in some costume. And so many theater chains after that said, we're not allowing any kind of costumes. Things happen.
Yeah, so this Halloween love runs deep. You want to make new Halloween traditions like you're talking about with Halloween Party. What traditions did you have growing up as far as with film and TV? Did you watch certain things around that time of year? Is there a habit you have of like, oh, 31 days of Halloween, I got to start with this?
It's interesting. When I look back, I can see that I had a big influence from my adopted family, who they were very crafty, and they always thought we should make our own costumes. We made things from scratch, things like that. Growing up with them, we always made our own stuff. And that was so much fun. That was like my first intro to like creating costumes. And then I think that we also had two teen girls totally were into horror films, and would always want to go see horror films. And our parents are like, what? No. Or they'd take us to see a film, but like they'd have to be there with us watching it. And it was hysterical. I think one time we went to the theater with them and Dad went in with us because Mom refused to see him.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the opening scene, Dad was like, "Oh my God, this is awful." It's the whole scare tactic. But after that, I wouldn't say that I necessarily have an insane love for horror like most people, or creature movies or anything like that. I just love movies. I love a good story. For us, Halloween is just like, we love Halloween, and we created a show recently. This happened after COVID because we were stuck at home, and Tristan, we had done Turnover together.
Yeah.
And that was the last big film that we did before COVID. And thank God we finished it. I mean,
yeah,
we look back and we're like, if COVID had happened when we were shooting, and we wouldn't have been able to get that restaurant back.
Yeah.
It would have been so horrific. And I don't know that as an independent producer, you can recover from that kind of loss, right? And, we did a lot of thinking during COVID and decided to get into documentaries because it was something that my husband and I could do on our own. We spent a good year researching and acquiring equipment, basically teaching ourselves sound mixing and cinematography, all the things that we hired people for, we started teaching ourselves. And we have two other friends, actually three other friends, that wanted to do this with us, but we wanted to do a documentary series called Halloween Obsessed and have each episode just cover something, talk about the beginnings or the background of some element of Halloween. And so the first one we did was called The Misconception of Witches. The second one we did was called Haunted Attractions. And we're on our third episode, which is about the paranormal. It's actually about people who live with the paranormal, like psychics and mediums and that. And so, it's something that we can do on our own, and it doesn't cost us much. And there's not the fear of like, if something happens, we're going to lose a significant amount of money, on the production. So that was the big thing for us, to find something that we could still do that kept us doing the creative things in entertainment, but we came here and retired. We retired to North Carolina. So it's more my husband. He retired and I'm with him. So it's like, sort of adopted retirement. But, it's not that we don't want to do film anymore. We love film and we do want to do it, but we want to do it when we want to do it. Yeah. And like I said, the docuseries really gives us that opportunity, and it's a topic that we love. So whenever we feel like we want to work on something, we can develop that story. We have so much footage we've shot. It's incredible. Like we have a Scream Queen episode. We have so many episodes. It's ridiculous. It's just a matter of putting the stories together.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. Halloween Obsessed. Mm-hmm. Where can people find it if they want to watch it? I mean, how does that process go from shooting to putting it online?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's on YouTube. Both of them are. That's the easiest way to get to them. They're free. Yeah. The Misconception of Witches is also on Tubi. But yeah, they're great episodes and they're very, very enlightening. So for us, once we learned, all of the elements about shooting, it was really a matter of us editing. So that was a big challenge because I have an editor I've worked with on almost all my projects, and he's fantastic. I love him. But it wasn't something that we wanted to continue with a group. We wanted it just to be us doing it. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we actually have brought Scotty with us. He does like a fine cut on our edited piece. So each time that he gets a piece that we've cut, we incorporate more types of things that he adds in. So there's a little bit less work for him to do, because we're learning tricks of editing. And we don't create the score. So we hire someone for the score, and we hire someone for the sound effects and the sound mix, because it's so important to have, especially in a documentary, something that really captures your attention and sounds great. And so those are the three things that we do pay for. But other than that, we pretty much do all the marketing. I release them on Film Hub, and then I do the social media or the promoting for it. And actually our team does a lot of the promoting as well. It's not just me doing the promoting. My producing partners, Barbara Dolney Bombar and Christine Maga and Ray Davis, also do that.
Oh yeah, Christy and Ray, they were both on Turnover. That's great.
Yeah. We're regulars. We hang out together.
Are they back east too, or are they still in California?
Ray's in Northern California, and she's a huge Halloween fan. She's who I had the podcast with, Bat Chat. Fun. So we were co-hosts. And Christy was in Long Beach. She's also loves Halloween. She's not as deeply involved in it as we are, but she does. She loves it. But we have an art connection. She's a director, and I'm a designer on a lot of the stuff that we do. And so that's the connection that we have. And she's also an amazing promoter, and she creates posters and artwork and all that. So one of the nice things about doing documentaries is, there's a lot of stuff that you're acquiring, a lot of either footage from other things, photos, information. So there's a lot of research that goes into it. So all of us really put a lot of effort into that. In our Witches episode, Barbara was really the one that wrote that episode and had the idea, and she did a tremendous amount of research around that. And it's just a really great piece. And, we just like Mark, you remember Mark?
Yeah.
My husband. Yeah. So he literally has taught himself VFX in this whole.
Wow.
Yeah. Enough, not like he's going to go work on any huge movie, but for a documentary, he can add movement. He can add, things that make it look interesting and different. So he does a lot of that in the pieces that gives them a little bit more life.
Not much of a retirement then. Busy working and learning things.
Well, I mean, we're not going to retire from something we have fun at.
Exactly.
It's mostly him retiring. Oh, sorry. There goes my cat.
We're recording this and I'm sure we'll release it around Halloween.
Yeah.
What are your favorite tropes with like Halloween movies, so that we can be like more savvy viewers of Halloween movies? As our audience listens to this, as Tristan and I watch through horror films or Halloween movies throughout the month, like what are the things to watch for?
That I personally like, or that
Yeah, no, you personally like.
I really love all aspects of it, but I'm not as deeply interested in the horror, the graphic
Right.
horror. I love anything that's like a great scare, like if you can get a great scare out of somebody, and that can be just that's surprise. So that's an element that is in a lot of films. But some of our favorite things is like we really focus, like our love is on skeletons. We have a 12-foot skeleton that's up all year long.
Nice.
That's great.
And literally everyone that comes to our house, they're like to work on something like, oh, can I take a picture of your skeleton? And we dress it up for all the different holidays. People are like, oh, is Skelly getting a new outfit? So right now we're doing a whole pirate theme. And then we have talked about, because where we live now, we have about 3/4 of an acre, so that we're on. And so we're like, oh, how can we create like a mini haunt through that? How can we like bring some people in to create some great scares? But it won't take very long because they're just like going through some little things around the property, right? Yeah. So anyway, when you see the haunted attraction episode, you'll love the episode. I guarantee it's so much energy. It's so fast and frenetic and everything. But when you see that, it really talks about the evolution of haunts and through the eyes of 4 haunters, from a yard haunter, a home haunter that's going professional, and then like the number one haunt in America. Like they're like a theme park, right? So you really see it's such a passion for people, and it's there's a huge industry around it. It's not just like, horror films for us. Like when you sit there and you go, there's Trans World that you can go to and get all these great costumes. Like it's better. It's so close to film, right? Like the whole haunt industry is about creating a feeling and effects and all that. And they're just doing some incredible things. And they're not really in the industry. For instance, it's Field of Screams that is the professional, like number one haunt in America. They're in Pennsylvania. And both the brothers that started that were teachers. One of them taught like, I don't know, I want to say some sort of metal arts or metalworks or whatever. And then the other one was a math teacher. And they quickly, after going through and getting their teaching degrees and teaching for less than 5 years, decided no, because they started a haunt during the summer. They pretty soon decided, no, we want to make the haunt our full-time business. And it's interesting because Gene, the one that was the metalworks teacher, now he has this whole metalworks studio, right? Where they're creating just insane things. The design behind what they're doing, and this is coming from a production designer, is incredible. It's highly, highly designed. So I don't know if that answered your question. I probably didn't, but
Well, got your passion through. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we hope everyone who's listening who is a Halloween fan does check out your doc on YouTube.
Watch on YouTube for sure. Everything's there, the trailer and everything. And then Halloween Parties on Tubi. It's on Amazon Prime. The stuff's out there. The movie that Tristan and I worked on, Turnover, is also on Prime and Tubi and stuff.
I was going to say, I think Mark gave me a copy of Halloween Party on DVD before we wrapped.
Yeah.
He was like, hey,
we
you're
have
asking
so many
about
of those.
Yep. I keep a good physical media collection, so I've got that one next to Turnover on my shelf.
Now, here's an unusual thing, and it started with Halloween Party, but we've really taken this through definitely all of our features. But we have this amazing musical element. In Halloween Party, there's 28 original songs in that movie.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 of them were written for the movie by artists, right? And so they're specifically about certain parts of the film. And the opening song, Voodoo, was an Oscar contender the year that Adele won for Skyfall. That was substantial for our little Halloween party film back then to even be in consideration. But one of the nice things about it is the soundtrack is amazing. It has kind of like a 70s rock feel to it, or like a sort of a dancey vibe like Maroon 5 or Lady Gaga. It has that feel to it. So the music's incredible. We play it every year. Almost everyone we know has our soundtrack, and they're like, "Oh my God, this music's amazing!" But anyway, we've taken that, and we've also managed to do that with our other films. Last Call at Murray's, no, but Turnover, we had 4 songs that were in consideration. And we did the same thing that we did during Halloween Party.
Yeah, I remember while we were shooting, there was a lot of discussion about the songs and Paul Guilfoyle singing along and things like that. So yeah, definitely some attention paid there. For everyone listening, since I know this is going to come out on Halloween, can you give us a sneak peek of what this year's Halloween party is going to look like?
It's pirate themed.
Oh, fun.
It's a little tribute to where we moved to Hampstead, North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's this whole pirate thing out here. And the Outer Banks, there's the whole Blackbeard history and everything. So, yeah, we've gone pirates.
That'll be fun then.
There will be lots of treasure.
Thank you again for coming on, Linda, and for talking about Halloween, sharing some of your passion. And again, for everyone listening, go find Halloween Party on Tubi and Amazon Prime, as well as your Halloween Obsessed docuseries on YouTube. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, where's the best place? Instagram or email or your website?
The best place to go is my website, which is runawayproductions with an S.tv. All my links, all my social links are there. It talks about Halloween Obsessed, like what's in production at the time. And then it has a link to my YouTube channel, which has actually all of our short films are on YouTube. So you can watch those for free. Nice. And so thank you guys for inviting me. It was nice to talk to you. And I hope you guys have a great Halloween as well.
Thanks so much, and have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you haven't yet, check out Cole's 31 Days of Halloween Movie Marathon episodes. We've got 5 of those up on the podcast right now. And head to our website for a list of all 31 movies that Cole watched this year for inspiration on what to watch tonight and this weekend. Enjoy.